Okay, so let's see the practical application we are going to develop now.
So let's run this now with this small addition. Let's click send email now. So when I click send email, now it works because earlier it didn't, I didn't set the type, so it was not able to select the correct app. Now it says with what, right? So let's say with email, right? So just select the app you want to send the email and just click that. Then it should load the app where you could send the email, right? So awesome, right? So you can type the subject and the message, etc., right? And you can come.
Okay, so let's continue to develop this application now.
Hi everyone. The lesson is Android Activities Part 4, Navigating Between Activities. We'll be using these tools and references during this lecture. It's very important to cover this prerequisite, the previous lesson, which is Activities Part 3, Lifecycle Practical. You can find it in the description. You will be learning about starting one activity from another, and you'll be learning about methods start activity and start activity for result. In this lesson, we'll be doing the practical for start activity. And in the next lesson, we'll be doing the practical for start activity for result. As usual, it's going to be practical demonstrations. Let's look at it now. For this lesson, we will use one of the previous practicals we have developed. So in this previous practical, we can just type a message and just click the send, and that will be sent to the next screen, and you can go back to the previous screen. So that means there are two activities in this exercise. So we'll use this as the base for the current lesson. Now over here we are going to focus about uh, act, like okay, let's navigating, right? So navigating between activities, right? Okay. So in the developer docs, in the activity understanding the activity life cycle, under that, if I scroll down to the navigation between activities, right? So starting one activity from another. So we got two methods, right? And now in we have already used one of these methods in this current practical, because when I type a message and when I click send, it's going to another activity. So how did we do it? If you look at uh, the method, so we created an intent and we call start activity method in a previous lesson. So this is that start activity method. So we are using that first method already. So in order to call this second screen, right, this one. So usually what you do is you will create an intent and then you will pass the class of the second activity, and then if you need to get some data, you will get the data, and then for that intent you will put whatever the data you want to send to the next activity, and you will simply say start activity. So we have discussed this in one of our previous lessons. Now, so there are two methods, start activity and the other one is start activity for result. Now in this lesson we will look further into start activity, which is what we are using here. Okay, so as I said, you have to create an intent and pass the second the class file of the second activity, and then you just call start activity. What's the first parameter? Let's look into the API of the intent, right? So let's say let's do a Google search Android intent, right? So intent, so this the API referencing, right? So when you go to the intent class, okay, so you will see in this class, so if you scroll in the right hand side, you can go scroll to the, I'm going down, scrolling down until I get the public constructors, right? So scroll down. So public constructors, when I click on it, I can see there are a couple of constructors. So what constructor are we using here? We are using two parameter constructor, right? So I'm looking for that two parameter constructor. So constructor is overloaded couple of times. I got two of them. One is with the string first parameter and URI second parameter. The other one context and the class. This is the one we are using here, context and the class. So the class is the class of the second activity you want to navigate into. The first parameter is a context. So context is the current context, the runtime context the application is running. So why do I pass this keyword here? Because when you say this, it's a current object. Now the current object is a child is of the current class, which is child of app compact activity. So app compact activity, if you look at the API, app compact activity, let's go to the app compact activity in the API. If I go to the top of it, app compact activity, if you look at the inheritance hierarchy, is a child of context over here, which means app compact activity is a child of context. So that is why I can pass this, because this is a child of app compact activity. So when I pass this means the current instance. So when I pass the current instance as the parameter, it is a child of the app compact activity, which is a child of context. So for intent, the first constructor, first parameter should be a context. So that is why it allows to pass this. So this means a current context. Okay, so this is how we simply go into another activity, right? Okay, right. Now, then this example shows how you could. So this in this what I did was I'm calling my on activity, right? So over here I'm calling display message activity, which is my second activity. So what you can do is, okay, also you can call standard activities, such as let's say you want to send an email, so that you can call the email activity, right? So likewise, so for that, let's see how you do it. So for that, you can create an intent, and when you create the intent, in that case you will pass the parameter intent.action send into the constructor of intent. Then if you want, you can put extra and put any recipient email addresses, and you have to pass to the put extra, you have to say it's intent.extra emails if you want to do that, and you call start activity. So these three lines will allow you app, let's say you click a button, it will allow you, and if you call this on the button click, it will allow, it will open the email client where you can send an email, right? So this is another example. So to check that, what we will do is we will design this app. So let's put a button. Let's say okay, let's put a button somewhere here. Then let's move it, let's bring it to let's constrain this, right? And let's click on this, and okay, let's go to the strings.xml quickly, open editor, plus let's say send email btn text, send email, right? Okay, let's click OK. Let's go to the interface, let's click on the button, let's click on the text, let's delete it, let's pick a resource, let's put send email text, right? Okay, awesome, right? Now then basically on the button I want to write the on click event, right? So on the on click, the property palette, I will say send email, right? I'll call the method as send email. Now I have to go to the relevant Java file and declare the method. So this is the syntax for a button click. you'll have to say public void and then whatever the method. So our method is send email, as I wrote earlier in the property palette. So let's put a s out and see whether it works. Right, so let's run this and see whether the button click works for the send email. So if I click send email, you can see over here at the bottom in the run window, it's working inside the send email method. So if I click again, it works, right? So look at the bottom. So the button click works. Now for this button click, I can just copy that code from the developer docs. Let's say I want to say when I click the button, I want to load the email client. So you will say intent, right? And if you want, you can send the recipients also. If not, you can straight away start the intent, start the activity like this, right? So let's run this now. So with that, if I click and run, if I click this send email, right? So click this. Okay, so I'm getting a error. Now let's see why am I getting a error. So when you get an error, you have to look at the run. You can see there's a stack trace and it says no activity found to handle content. So there's no activity it has found at runtime to handle this content, right? So if you look at this a little bit of if you search on Google and if you look at a couple of reasons why this can happen, you will see that you will have to solve this problem on the intent, you have to set the type, right? So this is like a standard value. So let's run this now with this small addition. Let's click send email now. So when I click send email, now it works because earlier it didn't I didn't set the type, so it was not able to select the correct app. Now it says with what, right? So let's say with email, right? So just select the app you want to send the email and just click that. Then it should load the app where you could send the email, right? So awesome, right? So you can type the subject and the message, etc., right? And you can compose it, right? But for this to work, sometimes you might have to do this. You might have to on your emulator, you might have to go to the Gmail, say app like this, and add an email address, right? So you have to click add, and then it will ask what email you want to set up. Once you set it up, just I have done it already, so make sure you do it as well. You click, then it will ask for the login information. You have to provide it and click next and give the password, and it will work, right? Okay, let's go back, right? So make sure you have set it up, right? And then this is my app, this one at the moment. So I click on it, you click send email, and once again, as I said, just select the app and click. So once you type the send and the subject and the message, click compose, it will send the email. Awesome, right? Simple. Okay, now let's move into the app, right? So this simply showed you. Let's click. So just if you get into this screen, you can just swipe this up and you can see the app. Whatever you run here, just run it. Okay, so that's how you use intents and start activity and even call a built-in activity such as sending an email, right? Something like that. Awesome. So you saw two examples. One using start activity to call your own activity. Now you saw the second example to use start activity to call standard activities, right? Like sending email. Because as you understand, in Android, when you run an app, when you see a screen, it is an activity. So what you see now is activity, right? And when you this is also activity. Now when you click send email, what is loading is, say when you select the app, what is getting loaded, this one is also activity. So you hope you understand. So this email client is also activity. So in Android app, every screen you see is activity, right? Or a fragment, right? Embedded in activity. So hope things are getting clear to you. So in Android, screens are basically activities. So that is why we are focusing on this lesson activities at this moment, right? Now we discussed activity life cycle in the previous lessons. Now we discuss navigating between activities, right? Awesome. The next thing is to look at the second method, start activity for result. That we will do in our next lesson. So in this lesson, we did the practical demonstrations and you learn about that there are two methods to navigate from one activity to another, which is one is start activity, the start activity for result. But in this, we did only the practical for start activity. You can find the link to download the source code for this project in the description. We use Android Developer Docs. Look at the next part to complete this topic. Also have a look at the other videos. We are very excited to see you in our next video. See you in the next video.